Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today is sponsored by Moshe Brody for all the miracles he does for us, and for the Tuesday night miracle, the rock that hit his eye while driving, and he's only bruised up. In honor of the Megillah crew, of the guys learning Megillah together, we learn Sunday morning, Tuesday night, and Thursday night. Anyone who wants to join, please join us. Look, you come to that class, you have open miracles happen. I saw a picture of the rock. This rock hit him right in the eye. The fact that it didn't take out his eye, didn't swerve off the road, is an open miracle. So he's dedicating this in honor of the Megillah crew. He's honored to be a part of it. Chazak Baruch Moshe Brody. We're really proud to have you drive all the way in for the Gemara class. We also have two very special long-time listeners and first-time attenders. We have Jack Tabelli with us here from Deal, New Jersey, and from a little bit slightly further afield, we have Marco Lawrence with us, all the way from Londinium, from London, UK, a long-time listener, first-time attender. It's always a pleasure to have our listeners come live and be part of the madness here in the Beit HaKnesset. Okay, of course, it wouldn't be a breakfast for you guys to attend if you didn't hear that today is the week of Cobra was sponsored by David E. Ash in honor of you and your substantial capacity to go today and every day. Let's begin, my friends. We read in the beginning of the parasha that the place of the Ma'arat HaMachpelah, where is the place of the Ma'arat HaMachpelah? The Sara is buried where? Vayakom Sedeh Ephron Asher B'Machpelah Asher Lifnei Mamre. The field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was two interpretations why it's called Ma'arat HaMachpelah. One opinion is it's the cave of Machpelah because it's michpal, it's doubled. There's two levels to the cave. The other reason it's given by our rabbis is because it was a cave of doubles. I could see Adina's mouthing the words along with us. Big tzadeket. What does it mean? The cave of doubles? Doubles is not tennis. It means Adam and Chava, Abraham and Sara were buried there. Yitzchak and Rivka, Yaakov and Leah. Couples were buried there. So it's called the Me'ara, the cave of couples. But where is it situated? Says the pasuk, Asher Lifnei Mamre. Now it's going to tell us in just a minute that it is actually situated in the portion of Bnei Chet. Who's Bnei Chet? Like we say, Hachiti, Hayivusi, one of the 7 nations that was living in Israel back then, before Avraham Avinu. So Bnei Chet, those are the people who own this land. Ephron was the one who owned the land that he sold to Avraham Avinu, and that was where the Ma'arat HaMachpelah is. However, the pasuk goes through pains to tell you that where is Machpelah? Lifnei Mamre, before the plains of Mamre. Now this is very interesting. Who is Mamre? Who's this guy? What is before the plains of Mamre? Is that a city? Is that a state? Is that a thing? Elonei Mamre, right? What is Mamre? Mamre is one of Abraham's 3 best friends. If Abraham needed to phone a friend, he would call Aner, Eshkol, or Mamre. In fact, who did he ask when he had to do a Brit Milah? Who did he ask? He asked his friends, how should I do this Brit Milah? I'm exposing myself to people maybe being, attacking me if they know that I'm weak because I had a Brit Milah. Should I do it publicly? Should I do it privately? What's the best way to do it? Etc., etc. Different opinions as to what exactly he asked his friends with regards to the Milah. However, what did Mamre respond? Mamre said, listen carefully, Mol Maher, do a Brit Milah as quickly as possible. Now remember, when you have a Brit Milah for a baby, when do we do the Brit Milah? On the 8th day. Just a question that came up this week. Someone asked me, are you allowed to do a Brit Milah after nightfall? Because it's more convenient. Easier to get people after work. So I explained to him, no, you're not allowed to. Where do we know that from? Because we just learned in Masechet Megillah, that the Brit Milah has to happen during the day. Because it says, Ubayom Hashemini. And on the 8th day, it doesn't say after 8 days, it says, and on the 8th day. So there's things that need to be done only during the daytime. Ideally, when should a Brit Milah be done? Morning. Not just morning, as early as you can in the morning. Vayashkem Avraham Baboker. Are you allowed to make it a little bit later in the day so that more people will come? Yes. But we learn the idea of zirizin makdimin le mitzvah. A person is supposed to do a mitzvah as quickly as possible. Recently in the community, we've had a custom develop where it's less convenient to do it in the morning, so people are doing it in the afternoon, they're doing it right before nightfall. That's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way it's supposed to be. Now, there's obviously competing interests. On the one hand, you want to have more people. On the other hand, you want, right? So it's because it's more people is a better thing for the mitzvah. On the other hand, you now push the mitzvah to the latest possible time. I remember once hurrying up a Brit Milah because they almost missed Shkiah. What a disaster that would be. We would break Shabbat to make sure that the Milah is on the 8th day. And now, because for the sake of having nicer napkins, we're gonna, this is not a simple thing. Can you do it? Yes. Are there considerations where it could be the right thing to do? Person's parents trying to get there. He's going to have all sorts of fights break out in his family if he does it in the morning because they can't get there on time. Now you didn't keep me in mind. I come trying to fly from Toronto, from wherever. I tried to get there. Now I can't get there. You're excluding me from you, Simcha. For the sake of shalom in the family, maybe I could hear. But the idea that you want to have more people at the Brit Milah, I'm not sure that's a good enough reason to override the idea of Zirizin Makdimin the Mitzvah to have a Brit Milah in the right time and in the right way. My friends, everybody in our community is only trying to do the best thing. They're only trying to do the right thing. There's sometimes where a benag develops, and it developed in a case of necessity, and now it becomes the norm. This should not be the norm. We should not be getting questions to ask if you could use the time between Shki'ah and Tzeta Kochavim. Am I still allowed to have the Brit Milah until actual nightfall? Because it's still like maybe day. This is not where we should be heading. What does Mamre tell Avraham Avinu? Listen carefully. Mol Maher, do a Brit Milah right away. Rofecha El, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will heal you. Those words, Mol Maher, Rofecha El, God will heal you, is the Rosh Tevot of the word Mamre. The advice he gave him is his name. And the Chachamim explained to us, it's brought down in Sefer Imre Noam, you find the word Mamre in the Torah again and again and again and again and again, even in places you didn't need it, like over here. Where's the Marat Machpelah? In the land of the Bnei Chet. You need to tell me that the land of the Bnei Chet is Lefnei Mamre? No, we figured out a way to sneak Mamre into the Torah again. Why? Because when Avram asked Mamre, what should I do? What was Mamre's response? Mol Maher Rofecha El. My friends, I want to draw a point from this. There's many things that we find in the Torah that get a person honorable mention in the Torah. I'll give you an example. The Pasuk tells us that if Aharon had known that his greeting of Moshe would be mentioned in the Torah, that he went out, V'ra'acha v'samach b'libo, he's going to come towards you, he's going to have a happy heart, he would have gone out, says the Pasuk, b'tupil mecholot. He would have arranged a band, dancing, because it's a big deal to have something mentioned in the Torah even one time. Mamre is mentioned repeatedly. And what does Mamre get mentioned for? The Pasuk tells us about Reuven. Reuven, what did he do? He told him, oh, don't do this, throw Yosef in a pit. Don't kill him. What was his intention? To save him, bring him back to his father. Say our Chachamim, if Reuven had known that he was going to be mentioned in the Torah, that he was going to save Yosef, what would he have done? He would have put him on his shoulders and walked back with his Yosef on his shoulders to what's it called? To Yaakov Avinu. It's a big deal, and Mamre gets it repeatedly. And what are we discovering here? Why does he get repeated mention in the Torah? Because of one thing he does. Because when Avram asks him, should I get the Brit Milah? How should I get the Brit Milah? What do you think? Mamre says, as quickly as you can. Don't worry. Rofecha el, Hashem's going to heal you. You'll be better. You'll be back to yourself in no time. My friends, we are a giving people. We give money. We give, we give financial aid. We give goods. We're doing lots of different things. But there's something that we're both simultaneously amazing at and terrible at. You know people who are very good at giving advice? Guy comes, he's asking you for money, he's collecting tzedakah, and he needs money, he needs medicine, and you're giving him now advice about where you should go and what the best way to collect is. The guy's like, advice I have plenty of. Money I have none of. We're great sometimes at giving advice, but actually we're also terrible at giving advice. And let me explain what I mean by this. You know, we've mentioned many times before that one of the things we say sorry to God for is Ya'atznu etzot ra'ot. We've given bad advice. And I mentioned before Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, in the month of Elul, where we're saying all these viduis, I mentioned that there's two types of bad advice a person could give. The type of bad advice that normally we're talking about is when the person's giving etzot ra'ot that benefit him. I'm giving you ask me, you think I should buy this property? And I tell you, definitely not. Why? Because I want to buy the property. People ask me all the time, what's it called? Rabbi, I don't know what you hold. I have this very, very expensive bottle of scotch, but it was aged in a sherry cask. What do you think I should do with it? I tell them immediately, take the bottle, throw it out, but make sure when you throw it out at 151 East, I give them my address to throw it out at, because I would like that. I hold it. That's okay. Not everybody does, but I hold it. That's okay. I'm not makpid. Send it to me. No problem. Fada. That's Ya'atznu etzot ra'ot. That's a simple explanation. When you give a guy bad advice because it benefits you, then you gave them bad advice. You want a position in the company. You want to get. The guy comes to you. He's like, "You think I should go for it?" You're like, "Well, it's a lot of responsibility. Do you feel like you could give up that time at home?" And then what do? You take the, that's Ya'atznu etzot ra'ot, my friends. But there's another kind of Ya'atznu etzot ra'ot. And the other kind of Ya'atznu etzot ra'ot is when you didn't give the time, or the emotional space, or the head space to give good advice. The person came and asked you a question, and you don't really, either you don't care, or you can't be bothered, or you got a lot going on. So what do? You shoot from the hip, and you give them bad advice. Not because you're trying to give them bad advice, but because you don't have the time, the head space, the wherewithal, the emotional care, the compassion to be able to actually engage in the question. There are sometimes people ask me for advice that I don't have an answer. And they'll ask me the same question again and again and again. And I don't have a better answer the second time or the third time or the fourth time than I had the first time. And I don't know what to say. And sometimes that's genuine. But isn't there times when someone will ask you a question and you know what? If you put your mind to it, you're a very resourceful guy. Maybe you can figure it out. Sometimes the most important thing that you could give someone is not money. It's not a good recommendation. It's not financial aid. It's not supporting them or investing with them. It's giving them advice as to how to do it. A rabbi messaged me a short while ago. And this has happened many times. A rabbi will ask me, I see that you put up these videos, and a lot of people listen. How do you do it? What do you do? What's the procedure? So I videoed the entire procedure of how a rabbi takes a class, videos it, edits it, puts it up online. I literally videoed step by step exactly how to do it. And I sent it to this person. I've done that many times. In fact, I'm inspired now by my own thing because I always feel if I speak about something, I have to be authentic and genuine and do it myself. I have a message waiting for me in my inbox from a very special person who does very special work. He asked me, how do you upload a long class onto Instagram? He doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know how to upload a long class onto Instagram. I'm going to give the answer here publicly, okay? And then I'll message him as well. The answer is, for anyone that's trying to put up Torah content online, the answer is you can't do it by the app because the app limits it to 15 minutes. The only way to do it is to access the desktop browser of Instagram. And if you upload from there, at least for the time being, the 15-minute limit does not apply, and that's how you're able to do it. So these classes every day that are 30 minutes long, that's how they get up onto that platform. My friends, a guy like this who has content to share with the world, what does he need from me? He doesn't need my money. He doesn't need me to teach him Torah. The guy's a great guy. He does unbelievable work helping and advising and encouraging parents. Okay? But this guy, what does he need? He needs that little bit of advice will change his life. Mamre, what does he give to Avraham Avinu? I'm reminded of a sentence that Avraham says to God. Avraham says to God, Hashem says, I'm going to bless you with everything. I'm going to give you this and I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you the other thing. And in the end, what does Avraham respond? Avraham says something that's almost painful. Ma titen li. Hashem, what could you give me? Va'anochi holech ariri. All that you're going to give me, where's it going to go? I don't have a child. I have no one to carry on my legacy. So all these blessings you're giving me, God, they're going to die with me. Va'anochi holech ariri. My friends, everybody has a moment like this in their life. Where you know what? If you gave this guy money, you know what happened with that money? Nothing. You will solve his problem for today, but tomorrow he'll be in the same place. You give him money tomorrow, he's going to be in the same place the next day. Sometimes a person, all the money in the world is not going to solve their problem. You know why? Because what happens after you give, the thing that you're trying to give them is, Anochi alech ariri. Where's it going? That person, you're doing them in a certain sense a disservice by not giving them the most important thing that they need, and that is advice. Now here's the point I want to drive home. We are the sons of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. We are kind, we are compassionate, we're empathic. We spend time focusing on that. My friends, use your compassion, your empathy, and your kindness to recognize that sometimes a person is incapable of changing their own situation. And even though you're going to give them a piece of advice, and that piece of advice, my friends, is going to solve their problems. Here, take this job. Here, do this. Have this conversation with your boss. The person is incapable of doing it. In many ways, it's not that they didn't know the thing that you're telling them to do. They know it. For whatever reason, they're blocked from doing it. The job of a person who's giving advice is actually to recognize not just what's the smart thing to do, but perhaps why has this person not done the thing? Now, we like to think, you and I, we're geniuses. Someone bring me the problem, in 5 seconds I'll have the answer to it. But meanwhile, they also know that they should go to their boss and ask for a raise. Why have they not done that? Maybe it's because they're afraid of their boss. Maybe because they know that their boss is stingy. Maybe it's because they know that their work is not worth more or even what they're getting paid. So your advice, go ask your boss. It's terrible advice. If you spent the time, you'd actually know that maybe what you need to do is advise him not to ask his boss for a raise, but to advise him to come to his boss with an added service, an added value, and say, I want to do, on top of my job, I want to also do this. You know why? Because I need to earn more money. And I would not ask you for more when it's not worth more. That's a meeting a boss will actually listen to. And that's good advice. The person might be in a situation where they should be asking for a raise. What's their problem? Their problem is that they have no self-confidence. So you know what advice looks like for that person? Show me what you produce. Print me out the comps. What do people who do what you do for other companies, what do they make? What does success look like for someone like you in your job somewhere else? Are your numbers much better than other people just like you in your position? Then you know what? Ask your boss for a raise, and if he won't give it to you, tell him you're leaving. To give a guy the oomph to walk into his boss's office and tell him, if you don't give me a raise and I'm leaving, is very easy for you. But if the guy is not good enough to get another job very quickly, ya'atznu etzot ra'ot. You gave him terrible advice. How many times do people give advice to someone, leave your job, without any sense or inkling that actually nobody's hiring data scientists right now? So as good as he is, the market is oversaturated, no one's doing it. That's terrible advice you just gave him. Look at what Mamre says to Avraham Avinu. Mol maher. That's the easy part. Rof'echa el. Avram, I know you're worried about the fact that maybe you're going to be exposed while you're in a weakened state. But don't worry, says Mamre. Not only am I telling you to get the Brit Milah quickly, I'm also telling you, Rof'echa el, I know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring you healing very quickly. And indeed, that's actually what happens. My friends, one of the things that our rabbis tell us is that when a person studies Torah, it should be lomed, a person should learn, al menat la'asot, in order to do. And one of the things I try very hard with the classes that we learn together is to make sure that the class I'm giving you is not about someone from some time ago. It's not a history lesson looking into our grandparents, our avot, our tzaddikim, our tzidkaniyot, but rather it's a call to action for everybody from our forefathers. Their actions, their holiness, their commitment calls to us and says, Joseph, Avi, I did this. But you know what? You can too. And if you can, then you must. I want everyone who's going to hear this to think of this. To think of someone that they know in their family, and by the way, sometimes for some people, specifically not in their family. Because you give advice to someone in your family, you rip the whole family apart. This guy, who do you think he is? You did more damage than good by opening up your mouth. Everybody knows their own situation. Sometimes a person is not capable from a familial perspective of being able to. But there's people that you know, good friends, people that you meet in the synagogue, people that you meet at work, that are struggling, that could really benefit from your advice. Make sure that it's not unsolicited. But you see a person struggling, what do you tell them? You tell them, how's it going? Everything okay? Do you want to talk about it? Our generation is filled with people that say, hey, how's it going? As you continue walking past the guy. Right? Don't we have that? You're walking past the guy, you don't even stop and you're like, how's it going? Do you really want to know? You didn't even stop. You didn't turn to face the person. You just carried on walking. If the person says, well, actually, you're like, oh, no. Now I got to sit and listen to this. Dedicate, at least for the few people in your life that you could see it, that you know, maybe, you know what, I could probably help with this. Dedicate some time. Rav Shach used to say, and I'm sorry to say this to everybody, I apologize in advance, please don't hate me. Rav Shach used to say to the people who's studying to become rabbis in Bnei Brak, he would say, you don't have a dime, but just like a person who has money has an obligation to give 10% of what God gave him to charity, you don't have money. But you rabbi, you Torah student, you have an obligation to dedicate 10% of your time. And where did he tell them to dedicate 10% of their time? To speaking to families that were sending their children to non-religious or not Jewish schools and to convince them to get their child a Jewish education. So you had these yeshiva students and rabbis walking around, knocking on doors, having this conversation. Maybe you want to switch your kid, Lev la'achim, chinuch atzmai back in Israel. Many Jewish families were saved because of these people knocking on their doors. My friends, I'm sorry to do this again, but giving money, 10%, does not absolve you of your 10% of time. And I'll end with the words of my father. My father used to say, imagine someone comes to your house and they buy you, I don't know if you ever saw, there was a big box of Ferrero Rocher. There was a golden wrapped chocolates, right? Brings the box to you, hands it to you and says, here you go. I just wanted to buy you a gift for your birthday, for having us for Shabbat Mabaref. It was a gift. Anyway, the guy's like, wow. Chocolate, I love these. Opens it up. They're not Chalav Yisrael, by the way. Opens it up, takes the item out, this is delicious. The guy who brought the Ferrero Rocher says, you know what? I'm so excited to bring you. I'm so happy you love them. They're also my favorite chocolate. I'm watching you eat one now. Oh, I'm already, give me one. Can I have one? The guy's like, no, these are mine. Guy says, I just gave you a 24 pack of Ferrero. You can't give me one? My father said, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. God gives you 24 hours in the day. And then he says, can I have one? And what do you say? This is my time. This is my time. This is me time. If you're praying Shacharit, you're studying Torah, you're giving some of that time back to God. But that's Ben Adam Lamakom. There's also Ben Adam Lechavero. Like you set ma'aser aside. Set time aside for people. For acts of chesed, for investigating, for attempting to do something. And chief amongst them sometimes in this world is giving people really good, really thought through, really practical, and really helpful advice. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen.